So you bought a GR86, lightweight, rear-wheel drive, and killer look, but you hit that horsepower ceiling. You're craving boost. So in this video, we're gonna show you everything that you need to turbo your GR86 or BRZ. From the turbo kit, supporting mods, tuning, and the common pitfalls to avoid, so let's dive in. So if you want to turbo your GR86, you'll obviously need a kit, but we'll get to that later. You technically could grab a turbo kit and call it a day, but in my opinion, you need a lot of supporting mods to make the car as reliable as possible and make as much power as possible. So before we decide on what turbo kit you should get, let's talk about what you should get for your car before you even think about getting that sweet turbo kit. So if you watched our EcuTech buyer's guide for the GR86 and BRZ, you'll know everything that you'll need for your car's ECU, as getting a tune is a requirement for adding boost to your vehicle. We work with Delicious Tuning on all of our installs, and you can check it out on our website, all the stuff we have for Delicious Tuning, but that's for a different video, so we won't get too into it today. But yeah, no matter what, you need a tune. And in the EcuTech buyer's guide, I did mention how going E85 is so worth it, but E85 is not a requirement. But however, if you do choose to go E85, here's what you need if you want to go with that route. Now, depending on how much power you intend on making, there's a certain amount of things that you have to change out, and going E85, you will make more power. There's a couple extra things that you might need. For example, the stock clutch is rated for about 350 horsepower. It will hold, but it won't hold for long. You can keep using the stock fuel pump, but there's a certain limit to it. So I'd assume that the stock fuel pump is rated for about 380 to 400 horsepower maybe, but you will be maxing out that fuel pump and it'll be pushing out as much fuel as possible. The fuel pump is recommended, the clutch is recommended, but it's not needed. For instance, our GR86 is running the stock fuel pump and stock clutch, pushing 350 horsepower with the Sprintex supercharger kit. But what you do need is the injectors and the E85 FLEXFUEL kit. On our site, we do sell the Delicious Tuning FLEXFUEL kit version 3, which has Bluetooth, so you can connect to the app to see how much ethanol content that is going into your engine. And the stock injectors will just not put up with how much horsepower you're going to be pushing. So 700 or 750cc injectors is recommended when going E85. However, your stock injectors should be fine around the 300 horsepower mark, but I would still do injectors because the stock injectors are very puny. If you're like us and you live in a warm climate in Las Vegas, you know that it gets really hot out here, and I mean really hot. It is currently 105 degrees out, and this is just the beginning of summer, so it's gonna get up to 120 degrees very easily in Las Vegas. So if it gets up to 120 degrees, that means your car will be running very hot, and if you're adding forced induction to that matter, that just makes it 100 times worse. Adding the turbocharger to your car will just make your engine bay super hot. Your coolant and oil temperature will rise a lot quicker than normal. And the solution? Well, you can get an oil cooler. For second gen vehicles, the car comes stock with an oil cooler, but in my opinion, it doesn't work that great. It does work, but it works along with the car's coolant system to cool down the oil. In my opinion, you need an external oil cooler to make your engine temperatures a lot more optimal. Like me, I have the Blitz oil cooler in my first generation 86, which has a thermostatic oil plate and an external oil cooler. As first generation cars didn't come with an oil cooler, I would say if you have a first generation 86, an oil cooler is a must, even if you're staying naturally aspirated. And there's a couple different options that you can go with for the oil cooler. HKS sells an oil cooler, Grady has an oil cooler. You can even make your custom oil cooler if you don't want to go that route. Other ways to keep your temperatures down is heat treating your hot parts of the turbo. What you can do to prevent heat soaking your engine bay is keeping that turbocharger nice and cool. That turbocharger is also connected to the downpipe and exhaust manifold, so the solution to this is heat wrap or Cerakote treatment. JDL offers Cerakote treatment to their kits to keep the heat down and will make a nice touch to your engine bay, as there's a couple different colors to choose from. The HKS kit comes with a nice heat shield on the hot side of the turbo, but if you choose a different turbo setup, you'll need a turbo blanket. A turbo blanket is a thermal barrier designed to wrap around the turbocharger's exhaust housing, and it helps retain heat and preventing it from radiating into the engine bay. This has several potential benefits, including reduced underhood temperatures, increased turbo spool time, and a slight performance gain, as cooler air means the air will be denser, so you get that sweet power you're craving. I also have dual catch cans by Radium. In most cases, you might see cars having only one catch can. Well, in this case, I have two. One is for the PCV system and one is for the CCV system. I would personally recommend getting the Radium single catch can if you're staying NA, and if you're going boosted, I would recommend having both. It's extra insurance and prevents blow-by in your engine. As the pistons go up and down, that's called combustion. And combustion creates extremely high temperatures and pressures, which sometimes can leak past down the piston rings and into the crankcase. And that would be crankcase blow-by. And in your 86, how your car reacts to that blow-by takes that pressure and puts it back into your intake system. Blow-by causes oil contamination, increased crankcase pressure, carbon buildup in the intake tract, and poor fuel economy and performance. So adding forced induction will make blow-by a lot more apparent as you're forcing air into your engine. So how a catch can works is literally a canister that sits in between your hoses in the engine bay. And in the catch can, there's filters in it that can separate the oil and the air. So when you go check on your catch can, the oil will be at the bottom, and the baffling and the filters will recirculate the air back into your engine. So if you're going to turbo your car, a catch can or an AOS system is highly recommended, but is not needed. As your oil pressure increases, your oil pressure decreases. As your oil thins out, your car's not lubricating as well. So this can cause long-term engine damage without you even knowing. How can you monitor those values? For instance, in my Subaru BRZ, I have gauges hooked up so I can monitor those temperatures and pressures. As you can see, I have a custom gauge pod, so don't mind how it's ugly because it's still in the works of making it all pretty and whatnot. But the focus is that I have 3 gauges on the right and 1 on the left. With these gauges, I can monitor boost, oil temperature, and oil pressure. And on the left side of me, I have my air-fuel ratio by AEM. The air-fuel ratio gauge basically detects if your car is running too lean or too rich. And if you're going boosted, it is important to see if your car is running right. For instance, if you're driving up in the mountains, your car might be running rich as there's not enough air. Or if you have a leaky injector, it'll run rich, and you will know that you're running rich just by simply looking at the gauge. And how are the other gauges like the boost, oil temperature, and oil pressure important? Well, for boost, it reads your vacuum basically. So if you have a vacuum leak, you will easily see that your vacuum isn't pulling as normal. And if you get into boost, you can see if you're under boosting or over boosting. Oil temperature, well, that's pretty self-explanatory. So if you're running too hot, you will know. And if you want to drive your car a little bit harder when it gets to a certain point, you will know because you can see what the temperature is through the gauge. First generation 86s never came with an oil temperature gauge or an oil cooler, but the second generation cars do. And oil pressure, if something goes wrong in your engine, you will know because your oil pressure gauge will tell you that. Knowing your values of the oil temperature, oil pressure, air-fuel ratio, and boost is very important to when you're boosted, and knowing that your car is running at its optimal health. But yeah guys, like I said, it's not needed, but I highly recommend these things. My car isn't boosted yet, but I definitely plan on getting a turbocharger fitted. That's why I have the oil cooler, the catch cans, and the gauges, so that when I go with a turbocharger, I know that my car will be solid. All right, so that sums up about everything that you need before you consider getting a turbo kit. Now let's get into the actual turbo kit itself. So on our site, we actually have the HKS GT3RS turbo kit and the JDL Auto Design turbo kit as well. But right in front of me, we have the HKS GT3RS turbo kit that we installed on this GR86. Now, if you want this kit yourself and you want to know how to install it yourself, we are going to be installing the GT3RS turbo kit to our GR86 soon. So there will be a step-by-step guide on how to do it yourself. For now, let's just talk about the turbo kit itself, what comes with the turbo kit, and what each component does that makes up the turbo kit itself. So this is your turbocharger. This is what makes the magic happen, and this is basically the heart of your entire system. But how does a turbocharger work? As your engine runs, it is compressing air through the exhaust manifold, and from there, the exhaust manifold gases push that air into the exhaust side of the turbocharger. The exhaust gases get pushed into this inlet. It starts spinning this turbine, which spins the turbine on the intake side. And as the intake side spins, it is compressing air and pushing more air through the intercooler, through the inlet pipe, and back into the engine. So that's why turbochargers have turbo lag, because it needs engine RPM to spool up. And once it's spooled up, as it's pushing all that air, that's when it makes boost. And there's two sides of a turbocharger. This is the cold side and this is the hot side. So this side will get very hot if you're not careful. So that's when I was explaining the heat shielding and whatnot. The HKS turbo kit comes with an HKS heat shield. A turbo blanket would actually sit around the hot side. So there's a couple different turbochargers that you can choose from, but however, HKS has one turbocharger to choose from. This is the Wastegate itself. It's more of an OEM style as it is built with the turbocharger. As you might have seen, some turbocharger systems have an external wastegate. So if you hear a car pull down the road and you hear it absolutely scream, that's what an external wastegate sounds like, how it open dumps into the atmosphere. Some of them are recirculated back into the exhaust manifold. That's more for daily driving, quietness, and it's a little bit more tame. Venting the wastegate to atmosphere allows for a little bit more power, and it is just a screamer pipe, so it is not really recommended for daily driving unless you like that obnoxious sound. So that's how a turbocharger works, and that's how the wastegate works. Let me show you a little bit more. So looking at the turbo system, I'll show you how it works. The air will enter in through the air filter, through the cold side of the turbocharger, and because the exhaust gases are spinning the turbine, that air is pushed through here, and this air is pressurized, so that means the air is getting pretty hot. That air will be pushed through the intercooler here, and the intercooler will cool the air as you're driving. The intercooler helps intake air temperatures down as it literally cools the charged air going through your system. As you can see with how thick this thing is and how many rows of cooling you have, this will definitely help cool your air and make more power. This is one of the most vital parts of a turbocharger system, so having a high quality intercooler is very important for your car. After it goes through the intercooler, it goes up into into this pipe and into your engine. From there, your air is pushed through the intake manifold, then through the engine, and from there, the air will be pushed into your exhaust manifold, up into the hot side of the turbocharger, and pushed down into the downpipe, and then down the overpipe, and then into the front pipe, and then out the exhaust. And right behind me is another one of my BRZs. This one is actually a BRZ that I just picked up, so it's probably pushing around 260-ish horsepower on 91 pump gas. We do sell this kit on our website. It would come with an updated turbo, the GTX 2860 RS, which spools a little bit faster and is a little bit more reliable. The basics of the first gen and the second gen turbo kits are pretty similar, so it's really just fitment wise of comparing the kits from one another. JDL is a very high quality kit as well. That's why we do sell it on our website. So if you want a turbo kit for your 86, whether it's first gen or second gen, link in the description below.